I said to my daughter Aria, I'm not blaming you, sweetheart. Blame is not a Jesus thing. It's a Christian thing. And I suddenly thought, I've never said that before. Isn't that to the point? And it was because, of course, my earlier part of the morning, I was dictating the last recording. Yeah. And then, well, we were late. We were running a bit late going to school because, it was nobody's fault, you see. And I was, of course, also hinting, don't blame me. It wasn't my fault as such. It was circumstances. From a Buddhist point of view, for instance, you'd say it was causes and conditions that came together in the way that it did. And actually, from a godly point of view, I think that God had happened. Well, my view of God, you understand, when I say from a godly point of view. In other words, not even the Jesus story point of view. I mean, it's my view of the Jesus story, so it's my godly point of view. It's not your godly point of view, for instance, your view of the Jesus story, or your view of Christianity that you feel you're following, or goodness, your view of not following any religion as far as you know. And, and then we picked up her friend, a young chap, just a year younger than her. And they chat, and he wanted to talk about his going to camp because he just got back, and she wanted to hear it, and she was full on with him. And then I said to her at the time, as we approached the school, it's only 8:32 as it was. And she said, yes, even if we leave late, we seem to arrive on time with you. She was being lovely to me, you see. She said, I'm sorry I was angry. Because, of course, I said to her, and you had the fun of talking to Max, whereas if we hadn't picked Max up, then, of course, you wouldn't have had that fun. Yes, she said, I'm sorry. Yes, sweetheart. I absolutely, in my heart, loved her to bits. Just loved her to bits. Yeah, let me pause. I was trying to think of what I had in mind to say first, and it slipped my mind. But I think it is that there's a Christian view. And as I said, as I see it, it's much a Pauline view. But even then, it's not even that. It's a traditionalist, Orthodox Christianity take of Pauline literature. Whereas Paul was, from Marcion's point of view, the best Gnostic he'd come across. Finest example. And perhaps it was the case that Marcion even formulated the first Christian, first gospel story account of Jesus. I say account, I do mean story of Jesus. And I don't, as you know, hold the story of Jesus in contempt because it's a story. I mean, my God rules all things. He calls what the story is to be. And stories, as I've said elsewhere, and I are what we bring our kids up on. And they're an incredible blessing. And the Jesus story has been. But in fairness, the Christian religion has been an incredible blessing to many, many, many people. It's just that it's been a curse as well, in the way it's turned out or been adhered to or taken to be. And, you've had, even the Holocaust, and things the Crusades that just don't bear mentioning, do they? So it's important to be on your guard, in a sense, I'm saying, aren't I? Is this a Christian thing? Is it a Jesus thing? And is that the same? And in many cases you'll find it isn't. I think you'll find that. No, I've certainly found that to be the case. Yeah. Well, concept of guilt is one of them. I don't know if... I guess guilt was fundamental to St. Paul's... Do we call him saint? Call no man father, Lord, teacher. I don't think we should call him saint, should we? Let's just say Paul. I think blame probably was fundamental to his theology, and that theology was much of the Old Testament. Not entirely, of course. I mean, if you think of it, the very concept of sacrifice is the opportunity to be forgiven. In other words, it was in some sense to say that we don't want to blame you. We'd rather forgive you, but we only feel, so the theology went, that we can forgive you if you've said sorry. If you've turned, if you've repented, and if you haven't, my goodness, the whole wrath of God's going to fall upon you. I mean, really. That's not the Jesus way. Forgive 70 times 7. And really he doesn't accuse, does he? Doesn't accuse the woman, just says sin no more. Just says, I don't want you to be sick again. I don't want you to be ill again. I don't want you to be unhappy again. Keep these principles. Really, I think that's what it amounts to. What do you think? Bless you. Thank you, Heaven.